this because we did my
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have correspondence, visitors, and public comments. Anybody wants anybody here today? Meets here live. No, so start going. Agenda, don't you?
Yeah, we just wanted to add to the administrative reports, have Laura give an update on the meeting that we had over the football sign.
Yeah. You want to do that now, or I'll let it all later?
Whatever.
Why don't we do it?
I thought under administrative reports. Does that make sense, or?
Yeah. I'm glad to know. It's something funny. Alright. Rule of the minutes. You have Becky. Do you have any adjustments to the minutes? Right, that you feel about the last time this meeting? Then, push the certain goals. It's private life.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of taking this published 13, so aye. Published the same. No pass. Submit. Alright, administrative reports. Frank Nagy is sponsored. Like the Star Award with Great Day. Hi, Joyce.
I'm going first?
Yes. Go first.
Okay.
Before, I want to say I'm sorry I couldn't make it out to see the open house.
No worries. I was going to say that anybody who didn't make it, come by anytime, I'll definitely give you a tour. So, as far as my report, as I said in that, it was certainly a busy summer. And some of the things that happened seem like a really long time ago, but I still want to kind of give a shout out to some people, Chuck Root and the staff of the Crossroads program. It just ran so smoothly, which was so great if we could get different activities like that, having different staff participating. The 6 teachers who gave up part of their summer to do tutoring for us, that's just so appreciated. And the facilities, really, season rentals for the custodians, all the usual things that have to be done during the summer, and so much more this summer. And it's just so great to be a part of it. We appreciate the mention for all of the MVSD maintenance staff. That was just so
Derek.
I'm excited that that's going to be an annual activity. Over the summer, obviously, it did fabulous job with the construction project. But last week we had the circuits week, and it's always so great to get everybody back together, planning a new year. It's really energizing. And I put in my report of a lot of things that we did during in the service. But then also last week they had kindergarten orientation. Oliver students were here for that. Brian mentioned construction also in the house. And stuff like that. Really well attended as well, and like that. And but I just couldn't make it. It's a certain decision time. So I'd love to have you come any other time. And then Saturday night we had our school community dinner, which also was well attended. And then get kids back. So it's just been wonderful. And with the kids back yesterday, we had our hosting assembly, which was always a lot of fun. And we did playground and lunch tours. We always had to go over the expectations for those areas. But this year we added a constructive tour, so the kids to see all those spaces. And that was really neat about to see how much they enjoyed that and how excited they were about not having hours covered, and not having to take down all their data equipment all the time. And so obviously the adults were excited too, but it was really able to see and be excited to be all discussed. And they were just off to a great start, and happy new school year. present.
What is the next schedule for the next month?
Yes, September 10th.
Can we just add in there quick tour when you guys did it really well?
Of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great, 'cause I couldn't go either.
Questions for close?
I'd just like to thank Joyce for all the work that she normally does, but with the extra of the addition that was put on and everything, and just want to shout out for the event the other night. It was really great. The excitement with everybody there. They were really excited about the new building, the new space, and to see the little kids running around in the preschool room was great. So really excited and glad to see the spirit the other night in the large church. So thank you, Joyce.
Thank all of you.
I'd like to build on what you just said. 3 minutes. And I'd like to give a shout out to Steve at the maintenance.
Yes.
So that building project, the stuff we did over the years, it was amazing. You did it with this group. And I know I know who it is. Sunday, but we think of Jason with his 3 schools and he'll tell you that how it's working. And you guys, I'll tell you, even Franklin on that staff, is working in this like deadlines. They try to do regular things before we shut. Like that makes for a minute show. Something about leadership about that. I know it. Young churches, just them is not like unbelievable.
Yeah, I talked to him the other night too, and he said that they've got all this space now, which is the opposite of last year. Right? They had lost a lot of space because of the construction. So he said it's just like a totally different year this year. It's an adjustment. And it was a difficult year last year, but they got through it, and so they're getting to reap the rewards this year.
Good choice.
And thank you all. Well, we're going to talk about the last thing.
Absolutely. Game effort all around.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Really appreciate it. Highgate. Night as well. Well, hello there, everybody. So, you want to talk a little bit about your report? Or if there's any questions? Sure, I'd be happy to. I think like Joyce, a lot of the truck the report was kind of summer stuff and one of the things that we're reading. It's, as jokingly said, as staff was coming back, I just been so locally, like coffee could be at the wall, so it's been nice to have a few sporados. But I think the loss of planning goes into in-service, and this year our in-service was just lots of things going on that we needed to just make it harder for some local days, so it felt jam-packed, and I kind of told staff, like, yeah, we got a lot going on, we're going to do it together and do great work. And it felt like this year we just had a really a great start together as staff. It felt really positive, and even this morning you feel was really wonderful. And I think, as usual, I think the district does such a nice job of welcoming our new teachers. And I know the new folks for this night felt really, really welcomed by the district. We have school folks at Highgate, so I think it was nice to really focus on good folks for our district. And we, a little bit different than schools, we do have our first parent teacher conference happening the 4th in-service day for us. And we got a really short attendance this year, which was over 80%, which was nice for us. We did a little over 70%. And I really try to focus on our students' families, and every single student family attended was really wonderful. So I think it's really important to come in and get to know us and meet a lot of us before the school day officially begins on Monday. Trying to think of the last thing in there that the one I really want to make sure is that I think Highgate could always improve the last few years of how we're doing our universal instruction within our social and emotional learning curriculum. And this year we're doing that with Wednesdays, where everybody gets to take second steps for SEL universal instruction. And what I mean by that is any non-classroom teacher certified staff is actually assigned to a classroom teacher. And then everybody on Wednesdays is taking a second step. And my philosophy behind that is that I just feel like I want everybody involved with teaching SEL so that outside of that only half hour window of time, we're still talking SEL, we use the same language and be able to support kids kind of holistically as a staff. So I'm excited about that. But right now, it's a theory I'm putting into practice. So I do hope it's as good as I make it to staff. But yeah, I'm certainly excited that the parents conferences were wonderful, and it will be so far only 2 days in, but it's feeling pretty good.
And I also read in there you have 5 pregnancies of teachers. Is there something in water or something?
Yeah, I jokingly say I'm not drinking water. I might wear pants, and I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it happens, right? We kind of staff is similar ages than they've all been married the last couple of years. So it's not at all shocking, but certainly it's hard to manage all of that. Even at, it sounds awful, but when teachers go to my office and say, oh, can I talk to you for a minute? Back ahead, like, oh my God, another one? But yeah, I certainly did not expect to have this many though. So I felt like you played off with like, oh, yeah, it's definitely a lot of precedent. I anticipated that.
So, can you just explain what's the difference between just a regular sub and roster? Is it just, it's like a block of these different keys or something?
Yeah, I won't get all the details probably correctly, but this means they're signing on for a substitute teaching position with a known certain number of days. And that does mean though, they just don't get the benefits of like a typical certified staff. It's not that same kind of agreement, but they are supposed to have a license so that they can teach you up to a certain number of days. So it's kind of complicated, but it's still a license, which I told them it was working at the long-term stuff and some other details that different.
You don't want to say something yet, Chip.
Go ahead.
I was assuming it. No, I mean, yeah, she was pretty correct. Yeah, so if anybody who subs in a specific content area for greater than 30 days has to have a license. So a regular sub doesn't need a license. They just go through a regular hiring practice and they can come in and be pummeled in. But a long-term sub is guaranteed that assignment for the duration, and they have to be licensed.
And we're going to get you things that I'll be able to show.
They are, so the way our long-term subbing works is that we do find we use the salary schedule, but they're not in the union. So we figure out where they would fall on the salary schedule if they were hired as a teacher, and then they get a per diem rate for that. So they fill out a timesheet, they are not salary, and the only benefit they are offered is health insurance if they measure an ACA.
But it is worth mentioning because it is a higher rate of pay than a daily sub. And if anybody out there is a licensed elementary school teacher that might be interested in doing a long-term sub or on maternity leave or 5, we certainly would be interested in hearing from you.
Is there, given, I think everybody has made it pretty clear that we're struggling to find substitutes?
Absolutely.
Would there come a point where we would hire a temporary full-time to fill the needs of Highgate or any other school that needs it?
We have done that when we had our BESSER funds to do that. It still works out not to be in the district's favor fiscally if you just do it for the full year, although we can employ a substitute that wants to be here every day. They can be here every day, and they would qualify most likely for healthcare benefits. Did I say that right?
Yeah. I was going to add a little bit too. We also have a mixture of positions, so that also complicates it. So it is because educator, a para, and then 2 teachers. So
in theory, you know, could work the way it is. Complicated. It's not all like the same and everything, but the other thing is I think if you're having a hard time finding certified teachers to teach for a whole year, let alone find someone who will work as a certified teacher for a whole year. And you probably would fill a classroom position if you found one. So I think there's still that shortage regardless. So I think,
It's definitely a challenge.
yeah.
I did have one other thing for Highgate. I love the pre-start of school parent-teacher conferences. I don't know if that's something that you've always done, if it was done before you started at Highgate and that's something you just continued, or something that you introduced once you were there. But I'm just really interested as a parent, having that opportunity to go in and talk with the teachers, especially, you know, if there are any concerns going into the school year. Is that something that we could look at introducing elsewhere? Is there a reason that it's not in every school in the district?
Yeah, to answer some of your questions, it actually wasn't here, and so it was something that happened on my gate prior when I was there. And then I just really enjoyed it, because as I said, the other stuff I said previously, but it at these foundings, it is a piece of this day that we are giving our eye and giving up to it. So it does to be right. If you really want to have a specific training or certain thing here, that is a force of your time already dedicated to it. So there are some tugs and pulls sometimes, like, oh, yeah, I really do this, but I think we try to structure something in other ways to kind of make up for it. But yeah, just kind of to answer the intake.
I can say as a Highgate parent, it started I think when Patrick was there, and it is great because, you know, elementary school you still have your homeroom teacher, but you still have your grade team, so you got a chance to meet everybody, talk about any challenges, if there are issues with the kid in the class or what have you, anything you wanted to talk about. You got it from the start. You weren't waiting until you're 2 months in to find out there was a problem when the teacher wasn't aware of something. So it was a great start. I would support it being in all the schools. I don't know why it's not.
Well, in-service is determined by the building leaders.
Right, yeah.
They
No,
claim
but
for that, and
definitely is a benefit to the county, I think.
yeah. It's all a balancing act.
We have our back to school night, September 5th. We know a lot of our families already being in the smallest school. We have a lot of contact with them the entire Tuesday, and having our back to school night, September 5th. And we have 100% the last 2 years, many years now. We've had 100% of our parents, black parent conferences. And I feel like our teachers are always available to parents people at the start of the school year. We reach out a lot. We have transmission meetings, we do grade, and we have also transmission meetings from grade to grade, which staff in the fall during the service. And we often would reach out to parents would reach out to us. They out and we have their conferences during that time. We go, like they did, so we did, we speak to the parents, so we do have back to school night on the 5th. And it's also hard that we have that sort of relationship with one parent, kid, which is depending on our relationship. I think it's great to work well with Highgate because you know that they certainly talked about other people here, but as you just know so many of our families, they know they can reach out to us, and we've been here for many years. And I think, I don't know. It's not something that they felt the need for here. And I talked about it, but I think things have worked pretty well here. And I guess we have 100% of our parents been coming for a number of years to parent conference as well.
Well, thank you, Joyce.
What is the first way you do that, John? I'm just like trying to other come up, but I came to Swamp with us and it's very small about it. But I was very impressed with the teachers and the talking with the teachers. I'd have been there without the good signs. I saw. I'm always out to a really proud of, but had some really good discussions with some of the teachers. When I saw literacy bike, I think it was last day for the bus road, like have just right there, so we're going to do our body to it, and get about a teacher. So it's like very formally not quite the story about it. Certainly, when I carry it.
Well, that will kind of flow into Swanton. I'll talk a little bit about report here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would echo what Joyce and Yeshua said, just really thanking our maintenance and custodial staff for all of their work. We had so much happening here over the summer, and talking to Jason, who has a really significant historical picture of the projects that have happened. He really said this has been one of the busiest summers at Swanton ever. And one of the things that is exciting about Swanton in the summer is that at any given time in the month of July, we can have 200 or more students in this particular building in 3 different programs. So we have Crossroads that runs during the summer that has a really significant enrollment. We have extended school year services for our students that are in special education, and we have tutoring that's available to any student, and all 3 of those programs run simultaneously. So that's a lot of students, and it took a lot of finagling and hard work on Jason's part and his crew to allow those things to really continue to happen completely uninterrupted and accomplish all of these other projects that were happening at the same time. So I would echo what my colleagues have said, and just really thanking those folks for the hard work and the flexibility that went into that, for sure. We have a couple of things that we're just finishing up. We've got the back roof that is just finishing up. I believe it was mid-September, Jess, that you said that they were the 13th is kind of the target date at this point. And that's, I believe, the last piece that we're wrapping up from the summer. So that's exciting. The crew was moving large strips of metal kind of onto the roof, hoisting it onto the roof today, and that was very exciting for the younger kids that were out at recess, who were completely convinced that I was having them build a slide from the roof to the ground, and they were disappointed when I told them that wasn't actually going to happen. But we're wrapping up that project, which is exciting. Don mentioned the back to school barbecue. That's put on by our PTO every year. It is really a nice event, and it's very well attended. And Don specifically mentioned that it's really low key. And I think that that's important because we have families who come to our school having had a variety of their own school experiences. And when we can offer them kind of those low-key, low-risk entry points, I think our attendance is better at some of those events because people are just more comfortable coming. And that is really well attended and lots of fun. So that is a great way to kick off the year. I wrote a lot in my report this month about staffing, kind of as my problem and celebration of practice. But in addition to the pieces that I wrote, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned a couple of pieces that I didn't emphasize in what I had written, which was really that there are a lot of behind the scenes folks that also have been and continue to be really engaged in the recruiting and hiring process and conversations about when one position, when we may have difficulty hiring for one position, how we think creatively about that, how we look at all of the resources we have and redistribute, and we look at research and data and what's best for kids. And so I just really wanted to mention by name Wendy Cunningham and Tanya Hayes, who are 2 folks. They were both here for a good chunk of the morning today, meeting with us and continuing to support students, but they were very involved in the hiring process. Laura and Bonnie were very involved. Julie and I talk all the time about the different positions and how we make that all fit together. So I think it was really important, and I neglected to be really specific about it in my report, to just say that even though that process starts in the early spring, late winter, early spring, and it's very consuming, it has felt incredibly supported by the folks at central office, and I'm very appreciative of that, particularly in a hiring climate where there are often candidates that have multiple offers on the table at the same time, and timing is really key in getting particularly some of those really highly qualified folks. And so there are some odd hours that Bonnie and I have had conversations about how do we push this forward as quickly as we reasonably can. And so I've just been really appreciative of the problem solving and the support that I've had from central office during that process. And as we get into the school year, that hiring process is kind of settled, and you read in my report, we've had some really great wins, and we've had some places where we've had to reassess and look at things, and I continue to feel really supported, again, particularly by Tanya and Wendy, who were here this morning talking about what all of that looks like as we launch the year. So I didn't write that specifically in my report, and it felt really important to mention. And I guess the last thing that I would say is that it's been really great having Jess. I'm going to start July 1st, and that's been a lot of fun for me to be able to have those conversations and help her experience her first few weeks in this type of a position. And she's really hit the ground running. You read in my report that she's done a tremendous amount of safety work. She's done a lot of work with preschool, and she's really just hit the ground running and taken on a lot of stuff, and that's been really great. And so I've been really appreciative of that as well.
That's been it.
I have a question for Jess.
Go ahead.
If you find someone that the position that initially Brian,
Yeah, so Kelly Hyde was hired in the spring, and we've met multiple times. She's really wonderful, and she's also been learning the position and doing a nice job so far.
is she on the status review?
She wasn't. No, she came from FNE.
Well, we've got to show that you're fine, isn't it?
We've connected.
Good. So someone to ask, so I know Swanton poses different challenge, like the biggest challenge to students, but also different codes. So what, maybe Johnny, what's the biggest difficulty between Swanton and the others in this terms, like, why are the campus aside from the normal reasons that there's not teachers out there, but like, is there something specific about when getting introduced to Swanton, what we should go?
I think that we tend to see a few different things when we hire folks. We get a lot of kind of new first or second year graduates who come to us, and they're coming from often Burlington, Colchester, UVM area, and they're coming to a place that's more rural, and they come and they get some experience, and then if you don't necessarily have a connection in this community, I think we see them tend to kind of go back to a more I was going to use the word metropolis, but that will tell you my way of thinking. But so I think we see some of that folks just they come and then they want to be in an area where there's more to do, more things outside of school. Those are some of the conversations that I've had with folks.
They've also seen a lot of same thing with the couple year graduates that are not from Vermont,
Right.
and that they move back home. So since COVID, we've had a lot of people after 2 to 3 years, they tend to look back to where they're from, which is mostly out of state.
And they stayed at UVM, but they lived really up the Burlington area. They did all of their education in those colleges, St. Mike's, Champlain, and then they're looking for a job in this area because they really loved it. And then they were getting one
getting a job on the outskirts of Chittenden County, and then it becomes tricky to drive in the wintertime, and maybe they expected to meet somebody, and it just isn't working out the way that they envisioned, and then they are going to have to stay back home. It's what we're seeing a lot of.
Where they had a bunch of roommates, their roommates got married, they
Yeah.
moved out, and then they're like, there's nothing left here. I'm gonna try to go back home. We also, this year was like how we've ended up with still positions. We would have been fully staffed. We had some really late resignations this year, like far more than ever, like really got under my skin a little bit that so we would have been fully staffed probably mid-July. We were all set, and then we started getting some like really late resignations, one that had signed their contract but decided not to come here at all, from out of state. There's nothing we can do about it. One long-term teacher that resigned with us in August, a special educator, which special educators are so hard to find as it is. And so the positions that we have left are those really hard to fill positions, special ed, SOPs. Otherwise, I think this hiring season went really well, and I think we got far more positions filled than we thought we would.
Yeah, I also think that when you look at the vacancies that we have right now, part of those vacancies is exactly what Bonnie said. It's hard to find special educators. It's hard to find SLPs. And one of the things that I'm most proud of about our hiring process is that we really do stick to a high standard, that we don't put warm bodies into positions, and I would rather leave a position open and either look for it again next year, or if it's appropriate to continue looking throughout the school year, continue to try to fill that. An example of that is our social emotional learning coordinator. We did a variety of interviews for that position. We did not have a candidate that we felt like was going to be a right fit. We interviewed a number of candidates for that position that we could have advanced in that process, that might have been qualified, but we didn't have someone that we felt like was the right fit, and we chose not to move them forward. And there were some teaching candidates that we chose not to move forward because we felt like they weren't the right fit. So for us also, in part, we want the best people for our kids, and I would rather leave a position open and address that internally by looking at the resources that we have, which is one of the things that we needed to do this year, than to put somebody with students that didn't rise to the level of what we wanted for them. I do think something that's really exciting that we're starting to see more and more of is with our young teachers that are coming to us, the newer graduates. We're hearing several of the applicants that are coming in as part of their interview process, or as we're reaching out to schedule that with them, saying, oh, I'm really good friends with so-and-so who you hired last year to teach first grade. So our young teachers are kind of spreading the word that they're feeling supported, they're off to a good start here, and they're telling their friends that are also graduating from those programs. And I think the more that we can build a cohort of those kinds of folks that have relationships and connections to each other, that's going to be a good strategy for helping those people stay longer as well.
Did actually at today, I had a couple of teachers. One was from Swanton.
Yeah.
You worked here, and I was like, that's great.
Yes.
Yes. So I asked a question. As if we're advertising and putting out this, that's obviously joining up with the HR in the school. Is it primarily from the school that you're out recruiting, or is that coming like funny?
So Bonnie and I talk a lot. And we are constantly having conversations about how the job ads read and where they get posted and all of that kind of stuff. I wouldn't say it's more one than the other. I think we do it very, very collaboratively, and we're constantly trying to be creative about, can we post this in another place? Can I reach out to the College of Education or the College of Counseling if we're looking for a counselor? So it really is a very collaborative effort.
look at all as because for all the schools now for positions, we all go to the same places. So depending on whether it's in VU or Spalding or Highgate or a specific position, they go to different places.
No. I mean, if there's specific positions, we may post, like, you know, use handshake more for, like, athletic positions, you know, athletic related things, or, you know, if you were specific, psychology, right? Things that aren't necessarily, somebody might not look at a teaching website, right? Might not look at something like School Spring for one of those because they could be working that same job in the private sector. But everything goes to School Spring. School Spring automatically uploads to our website and it uploads to Indeed. So those go there. Then we talk about other places, right? Do we post? Do we do an ad in a paper? Do we do it, you know, through the colleges? Like, we've tried some career fairs. Those aren't great. People run away when you ask them if they like kids or if they've never thought about education, they're like, no. You know, I had a really interesting experience with that. So we tried some of those things, and that's, you know, word of mouth. We do have a lot of people recommend us, you know, people moving out of state. So they're like, no, I told my friends to. So.
I think another piece, Ranick, just really quickly, that we've worked hard on is to think about, if we can't fill a particular position, is there a way, at least temporarily, to kind of reimagine that in a different way? So an example of that is we had a school counseling opening, and we weren't able to bring that person into that position immediately. And so we reposted. We did not have viable applicants. So then that's when those conversations with Tanya and Wendy and Bonnie and Julie and those all come into play, and we start thinking about, if it's not a school counselor that we bring in, is it someone that comes in that's a social emotional learning teacher for a year who kind of takes over the guidance classes while one of our licensed counselors takes on more of the actual counseling pieces? And so we start thinking creatively about those positions, and those are things that are absolutely done in strong collaboration. So we're trying to be really creative when we can't fill a position that's called one thing. You know, we're having conversations frequently about, okay, Chris, you might have an SEL coordinator position, you might have an SEL teacher position, you might have an SEL behavior consultant position, but that's really one FTE, right? Bonnie's constantly reminding me of how many I have. So,
because I thought, let's post them all and see if somebody bites on it.
Right.
Person, right? Like, somebody, I doubt a lot of people are gonna think, yes, I want to be an SEL behavior consultant when I grow up, right? So, but if you post them under different things, and you know, maybe they trigger different keywords and stuff. But then Chris does need a reminder that it doesn't matter how many postings there are. Just tell us one job.
I would just add one more thing. I know Yeshua had mentioned that a lot of our newer staff had felt really supported at the new teacher orientation days, and I think that was by the district and also at our school level as well. I've had a pretty big hand in the mentoring program over the past few years, and then just being a coach, right? Like, it has always been my role to help and support those newer teachers get going, and I can't let that go. And so I really have been listening and supporting and working with those newer teachers, as Chris has, in both buildings, to make sure that they feel it, and we are hearing that they feel it, not only from them, but other people around them too. So that's really important to us, because that we want to attract people, but then we also really are working to keep those people too.
Yeah, no, that's very enticing. They came in the room, I don't think I was saying.
That'll be you, yes, I remember.
Yeah. But I can imagine it's sport too, right? Spending that long way, like just $3 cuts. So, thank you.
Everywhere you choose them, but everybody, the township, the student market, Marshall's, has the same model of the way it is. Sometimes you do rather well to either Catholic Children like Goodwood, or not of which you're related. I'm friends in Southwell. Everybody is looking for some positions. wake up. And it's because the world has changed. 30 years ago, 30 years ago, I remember telling the assistant principal, I do not want your agriculture sending a great job, but you don't have a category going on with applications. That's no law.
Insurance?
It's law. Without that, the commissioner on modification, how you think? They don't get it. You don't.
Different subject.
Well, the last thing I'll say is, about that is, I think just keep doing what you're doing. Culture is really big. You know, most people from all industries who like culture the way they are, love that, they'll stick around. So thanks for doing that. And great coaching, and any other questions for Ms. Swanson?
So I was disappointed because I was really hoping that you were going to get your update on UPAs.
Well, you wouldn't miss it if I did that.
Oh, that was really big problem.
It was.
Yeah, I was glad that so it's working well.
Yes, very well. Very well.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Lewis? Last thing I just want to mention is thank you for the reports and updates for the challenges section. I'm sure everyone was overjoyed when you're writing forward. Would like to hear more of that. I would like to say it helps us as a group. It helps us to be able to identify to the community that we know there's a lot of great things that you're doing. We know how hard it's working, and just having a little bit of feedback on the things in there, attracting that it does help. And so appreciate little adjustments and things that goes a long way. So thank you again for the womanist. Chris, Henry, appreciate it. Yeah, then we'll want to stick around if you can, or if you want to go watch and then send it down.
I said I had home. Thank you. Host.
Night, Joyce. Night, Yeshua.
We get it. Okay.
Laura's update? Right. Okay, so a few things have happened in regards to the football scoreboard since the board met on the 13th. I'm just going to walk you through some of them. Based on that conversation on the 15th of August, I had Dan and John Lumsden approve a transfer of the $16,500 from the football account into a general fund earmarked account with this football scoreboard account code, project account code, and also $1,000 from boosters and $1,000 from the student athletics account. So those are earmarked funds sitting and waiting at the moment. After that, Dan sent out a wonderful letter, I thought, on August 19th to the entire football community, just explaining sort of the situation, but that the board has addressed it, and then we're moving forward. I'm sorry, the board and the administration have addressed it, and we're moving forward in the process and what we're doing and the amount of funds and all the quotes have been gathered. So just really doing a thorough job explaining the situation. We didn't really think that was enough. So we actually then, John Lumsden, myself, and Dan attended the parent coach meeting with the students as well on August 20th, I think at 6:30, and really just, again, walked them through the points in the letter, but also gave a very sincere apology that this happened the way that it happened and that communication wasn't as good as it should have been, and that we assured them that processes have been firmed up, and we explained those processes again, but I think the apology, in my opinion, went a long way, and I hope that they heard it, and I think the kids heard that as well. And then we also explained, like I said, the new process, shared the forms again. We were very clear about the board being supportive of the project, and then we explained to them the plan moving forward and that the scoreboard would be installed as soon as possible, and there would be a general fund contribution to that. But the timeline right now just doesn't allow it to be in before the end of the season. There were a couple of other suggestions. One was to have an announcer. This was from family members. One was a request, actually, if they could have a announcer at the games. It turns out, I guess, a lot of other football teams have announcers at some level. It's probably not a professional, but at some level. And so since then, also, Dan and John have secured at least one announcer for 3 games, and then they think they have another one for the other games. So I think that will be really great for parents. I don't know if you've ever been to a football game, but it's tricky to know what's going on without an announcer. So also I would just like to be clear, I think at the last meeting and maybe possibly in some of the conversations, I toss around words like the current fiscal year or surplus or next fiscal year or this budget or that budget, and oftentimes I'm working in 3 of them at a time. But I wanted to be very clear, and I think it was, if you go back in the materials, the spreadsheets that I outlined, we were talking about using fiscal year 25 funds. We are in fiscal year 25. So if ever we were saying next year, it's because the request was happening in fiscal year 24, but next year means this year, and we have the money in the plant budget for the scoreboard. So the 16,500 plus the 2,000 coming from the athletics is now earmarked, and then as soon as we can place the order and move through securing contractors and all of that, we will make sure that as soon as we can in the spring, the scoreboard is installed. Of course, we will bring updated quotes and all of that information again before that happens to the facility task force, and then I'll bring it back to the board one more time. But you can expect that this winter so that we can roll right off in the spring. So I just wanted to be clear about the timeline, because I think there's still some confusion out there in the community and maybe even within the school about that.
Nothing was removed from the budget.
No. We're hoping that the message has been received.
How often is parents meet?
I think it's just at the kickoff of the season that I know of, unless there was some kind of an issue that needed to be addressed. I can tell you I emailed with the football coach 3 times today about a different fundraiser that had happened, and just making sure that it was following our process again. So I think the business office having a closer relationship with some of them, and then also going to the coaches meeting at the beginning of the seasons will help too.
They do, so John does a meeting with just coaches, and
Right.
then they do a parent, player, coach meeting at the start of the season. They do one for high school, and then they do a separate one for middle school.
I don't have their schedule. I know everything else about it.
Just find out and let's know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you feel that they received, they heard the message, or we're still?
I believe the people in the room that received the letter and heard us speaking heard the message and acknowledged what we were saying. I think there may be people in the community that maybe it's not as clear to them that it's been handled, and that it is in fact happening, and that the board is supporting that, and that the funds are available. We just, the lead time on the scoreboard and the season time just don't line up. And again, the apology that this was not brought to the business office and the board from the administration in a timely manner, and it should have been. So,
Did any of that information get put online?
I don't believe so.
Are you really pushing?
Was that past any of that information got put on?
If the letter was shared on social media.
What?
Oh, it was? I don't know.
I don't know whether it was on that MVU football page. But I will follow that one. Sure.
I actually have extra copy. I'm not enough for everyone, but I do have an extra copy. I can leave with you.
We can make sure that gets out there.
Yeah, it's there's the.
I was first to do this because I would tell you in Swan for last for the associations and glad to see this. I would ask me kind of what regional the collectors.
Yep.
The dad of the fall, especially was not part of what you can say about project about people. We would like to have a community in which that period brought up in the equation and the shepherd get conflict with.
Would any anything that just share this letter to social media? Sorry.
No, but I can make sure that it happens.
You know, because I think it's thorough, it's quite explains it clearly, and it's really that's let it let's do something. No, we should have a I think Dan and Dan for also writing this up to.
Was a public looking for this city board commission not there actually in full height but I mean you score something there's a few gentlemen and with all the person playing seniors that test. So
So you and me, you want to cheer? Go take
see that I just
Or announce.
Where you guys? Just use that.
If that happens, administrators want in on that too.
All right, well, thank you, I really appreciate that, and that's a good update. Please share it out there, and then do if there's anything else that is good from that, just bring it back to us. Let us know. Just head over to the follow us, or should I should my kids say about what we need that works? I think you really help them to make sure. I'd like to take a second and just thank Let It Go for joining our meeting. There's a name she wants to add, or she just listened to it, but thank you for listening in, Lisa.
Thank you very much. I'm just listening in tonight, just love to know what the issues are out there and how the school districts are doing, and you're just as important to me as my other school districts, so please feel free to let me know if there's anything I should do for you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You emailed them. I don't need to.
I just sent it to you. I mean, it's always monitoring the progress of the city, of course, working what school funding is supposed to look like. Sometimes that's 5 years. And then I'll see like a long time it was something like, is it being followed by legislators?
Sorry about that. Yes, Mr. Collins, I am not on that committee. And in the House of Representatives, I do not sit on the Education Committee, so I don't have much information to pass along to you. I agree. There have been 30 plus studies already, so it seems like we really have had our share of studies, but the legislature saw fit to commission another study, and they'll go forward with that, and we'll see what they come up with. Until it gets to a vote of the full House, I typically don't have a lot to contribute to education issues, but thank you for asking. Thanks for the question, and I certainly will be following it closely.
If you talk with the Collins, I think we have a representative in City Office of Education today.
Yes, that's correct. That's Representative Casey too, and if anybody wants to reach out to him, they can certainly do so. We all have the same email address. It's our first initial, last name, @ledge.state.dt.us, and you can find us on the General Assembly website. I don't believe he's on the position, the Future Education Commission, but he certainly sits on the committee during the legislative session, so he might have a little more information than I do.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, next item is Swan Leadership Team.
Absolutely. Julie, do they have the link?
I am doing my best.
Okay.
Share it. I got disconnected. There we go.
Awesome. So I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to talk to you about a new leadership team that we're starting here at Swan. And I'm going to be really brief about it tonight because we've met once and that work has just begun. And then later in the year, I'd love the opportunity to come back and give you more of an update that's content related. We have historically had a leadership team here at Swanton that's included the academic coaches and the 2 administrators, and that's really been the crux of the leadership team that was in place when I came and that we've kind of had in place for the last couple of years. And I've really felt for a while like that team needed to be more representative of other stakeholders here at school, and we needed to find some focus for that team. We were a little bit, we accomplished a lot, and we were a little bit all over the place, and so we needed to really find a way to focus. So we have formed the Continuous Improvement Leadership Team. And the reason that we named it that is because the driving force is going to be our continuous improvement plan. So why are we creating a new leadership team? We want to increase student achievement by improving instruction and engagement, and those are the two main pieces of our continuous improvement plan: academic achievement, social emotional achievement, and engagement. We want to bolster the shared and distributive leadership model here at Swanton. We want more folks to have input. We want more teacher engagement, staff engagement in the decisions and processes that we're making. We want to place the continuous improvement plan at the center of our decision making school-wide. So the continuous improvement plan has always played a really significant part of our decision making, but it's been done with kind of that limited group, and we really wanted to expand that and help the continuous improvement plan really live school-wide in the work that everybody does. We want to increase the transparency of our work, so we want all of our staff members to have voice in the decisions that we're making. And I'll talk a little bit about the representatives that we've put into this group in a second. We want to capitalize on the expertise of staff. Our district spends a lot of time and has made a really big commitment to create sustainability and build the expertise of the folks that we have in our buildings. We have wonderful coaches. We offer a lot of professional development, and it's really important that not only we provide the training for those folks, but then we use that training and take advantage of that when we do our planning. And to increase data-driven decision making. We want to really focus on our data. So when we thought about the folks that would become a part of this team, we knew that we wanted representative teacher representation on the committee. So we have two pre-K to 2 teachers, Bridget Favreau and Michelle Garvey, are both members of this team. Kirsten Melrose is a member of this team. So we have 3 classroom teachers that are participating. Karen Lavallee is our pre-K to 2 librarian, and Jennifer Mitchell, our technology integrations. They're representing our unified arts. Deb Boucher and Kelly Hyde are literacy and math coaches. Lois Fuller is our special educator. We have an open position with our SEL coordinator, our social emotional learning coordinator. So we put that in there just because there were certain positions that are a given that we wanted to have in here, and that is one of them. So when we're able to fill that person will join our team. We wanted a member of our clinical team. So our clinical team is representative of our counselors and our school-based clinicians and other folks that are supporting the mental health and wellness of students. And Molly Rand is our NCSS school-based clinician. She's going to be part of our team. Jan Sweet is our behavior interventionist. She staffs our planning room here in the central building. She's representing support staff. Tanya Hayes is our liaison to the district leadership. She is representing on that committee as well. And then, of course, myself and Jess Gorbeau are members of that team. So we have a broad representation of folks. Part of the work that we started to do at our first meeting and that we will continue to do is really to identify very clearly for these members of the team, when there's information to go back to all of our representative stakeholders, who's going to whom, and also when there's information and feedback that we want to gather from stakeholders, what the conduit is to get that information back to the team. So I'm really happy with the representation that we have. We're going to be meeting twice per month this year. We scheduled our meetings from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning. All of our meetings this year, all of our regularly scheduled meetings, our leadership team meetings, our EST meetings, all of our meetings that typically happen in the morning, they used to start at 8 o'clock, and I've changed all that because I wanted to recapture that 8 to 8:30 time that we have with students. That was really important. And it's remarkable when you start thinking On one hand, it seems like a 30-minute period of time, but it's small and they add up really fast. So we've shifted not only this meeting, but lots of our other meetings to start at 7:30. And these meetings will alternate between whole group work, where the whole committee gets together, and some subgroups that I'm going to talk about. So there are 3 pillars to our continuous improvement plan. They are academic achievement, safe and healthy schools, and attendance, engagement, and truancy. And those will also be the subgroups of our continuous improvement leadership team. So we've divided up our team into those groups with based on our representation. Every other meeting, those subgroups will get together and work on their pillar of the continuous improvement plan, and then bring that work back to the larger group. And Kosha Patel, our director of curriculum for the district, is really our key person when it comes to our continuous improvement plan. And Kosha and I have been working closely together to design the format and structure that the subgroups will use to make sure that that is really highly focused time that's based on our data. So one of the things that Kosha really has been supporting me in putting in place is how are we using data in these subgroups that's real-time data. And EduClimber is something that most of you have probably heard of. It really is the kind of the clearinghouse of all of our data. Many of our data sources feed into EduClimber. Our teachers have access to EduClimber. In the past, we've historically used some systems that maybe not everybody had immediate access to, or you had to go to another person to kind of get a report that you wanted. EduClimber is kind of removing some of those roadblocks for us. And so our teams will use EduClimber, and that will provide immediate access to the most recent data. So anything that happens is updated at midnight in EduClimber. So it's very up to date, and so we'll be using that real-time data. It's going to be frequent analysis and progress monitoring of our data, and all based on the district assessment plan. So what's going to happen at the work groups? We're going to, again, be focused on data-driven collaboration. We're going to be forming questions. So as these subgroups meet, they're going to be thinking about what are the questions and maybe problems of practice that we want to bring back to the larger group for some collaborative problem solving at the larger group level. What do we want to go back to the staff with? What do we want to roll out? We want to be planning for some supportive measures. How are we supporting the strategies that we've already written into the action plan? When we write the action plan every year, we do that really closely with Kosha, and that is very strongly based on data. And so we want to really be supporting that very specifically. And we also want to be thinking about new ideas. We always want to be thinking about how can we be innovative in supporting the goals that we have in our continuous improvement plan. We want that progress monitoring of our work in real time. So when we start to implement some of these strategies, it may be as quickly as a couple of weeks later where we're able to go back into the data and see if we've begun to make a difference, and not wait for 3 months or 4 months or 5 months to see if what we're doing is making a difference. We can tell that trend much more quickly, and if we're headed in the right direction, fantastic, we'll keep doing it. And if we're not getting the results that we want, we're able to change our direction far more quickly based on our data. And we often think about that as the start, stop, continue continuum. What do we need to start that's new? What do we need to stop that's not working? And what do we want to continue that's going well? And then we'll always end these meetings by talking about communication priorities. Transparency is a goal of this group, the transparency of the work. That's why we work so hard to have representation from all of our aspects of our school. And so the end of these meetings, both the subgroups and the larger group will talk about what are our talking points that are going back to the staff. And we have a variety of strategies to communicate our work back to the staff. We have a weekly memo. We have these representatives, and so we'll be thinking about those talking points. We'll be updating you all regularly through my board report on the work that we're doing, so that communication is going to be really important to us as well. So again, purposeful, agreed upon talking points, communication to the staff, part of my monthly report. We're working on a web for that communication so that folks know clearly who they're representing, and we were able to keep the whole staff engaged. So when we think about our charge for this group, our charge is driven by data from MVSD's local assessment plan, as well as the expertise, dedication, and creativity of our staff. Swanton's continuous improvement leadership team increases the academic and social emotional outcomes of all learners by regularly using the 3 pillars of the continuous improvement plan: safe and healthy schools, academic achievement, including a focus on historically marginalized populations, and attendance, engagement, and truancy, as a lens through which we will proactively and reflectively view our school-wide planning and decision-making. And we're really excited about the focus that this is going to lend to our team. So I'll be reporting back out to you as this work gets started and happens throughout the year, but I would be happy to answer any questions that you have for me today.
Maybe it's overkill on, at least for the age of JD. Is it possible that each month in your fiscal report, you will just, on one of the team members that will show, give us a look at update?
Oh, I will absolutely. One of the sections in my report will be an update from this committee every month. 100%.
Like, what month is that, Chair? 11.
Yes.
Yeah, I like what we're hearing about pretty short.
Yep.
This number, we're at both reports, but it's not really it's in one, to my knowledge, understanding of the all of the end.
Of course.
So we have to put the reports. It's pretty better.
Yeah.
Once.
I will keep you in the loop, John, I promise.
I will say that at the initial meeting, there were a lot of people around the table, as you can see, and the energy was so good, so positive. With some excitement. Yep. Yeah.
So,
And a lot of expertise in it.
yeah.
Right, question on that? Jess, you ready for that?
Yeah, do this.
Maybe you were like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. So I have to say, week 1 on the job was July 1st, on Monday. And there weren't any kids in the building. And I was like, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. I got this. And then week 2, kids started back. And it was hot. And there were problems on the playground. There was a spill because the water bottle fell, right? Like, it was like nonstop all over the place all the time. And so that was a really nice way to kind of get my foot in, like kind of dip my toe into the job, right? Like, it's really get going, even though I know the staff and the relationships and that kind of thing has been really easy, right? But all of the hats that Chris and Justina wear became really evident week 2 on Monday. And then in service and I feel like it's been really great, and I'm still smiling, and I still really love it, and I'm excited to keep going. So
Great. Let's report
I'm very supportive. I feel very supportive.
but thank you for that.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Of course.
Hey, and like Don said, just like that last one. Yep. All right. Next item is some updates on the virus. A little bit of a theme today. Only.
I know it was like a spoiler alert earlier and shared a couple tidbits. So I was asked to put together some information on kind of what our hires looked like this year. And, I was told I could be a little creative, so hopefully I came up with some information that you will be fine. So I did divide it into professional hires and support staff. So in our professional hires, I'm not calling them teachers because we also have some non-union professionals in there, but they are all people that are required to have a license by the AOE. So our total open positions is collected of what we had open at contract time and then what opened up post-contract time when we didn't expect to have additional openings. So the MVSD, that is kind of the ECP shared positions. So we have some special ed and SLPs that are shared in the district, so we put them under MVSD. And we also put our SLPs and our psychologists under MVSD because they are kind of managed at the district level, so that if the resources need to be shared, that's where Tanya and Wendy get creative on how we can make sure all of our students are served with the professionals that we have. So we had 6 MVSD positions. Oh, and our ELL teacher was in there, our English language learner teacher, and she happens to be the only one that we hired. So my math are not up right there. I can see that I do have the psychologist. No, I put the psychologist back in Swanton because she is dedicated here, so that is what I put there. But so the ELL teacher was the only one we were able to hire. We do have 3 SLP positions and a ECP special educator that went unfilled. Franklin, we had, for the 1.5, we had a preschool teacher and a 0.5 PE position to hire for. So we did hire for our PE position, but as you all know, the pre-K position did not fill. In Highgate, we had 11 total openings. So the hire internally comes from, occasionally we have people that are brought in. If anybody's hired, if a teacher is hired after July 1, they get a 1-year only contract. And so they have to reapply for their position the next year if they wish to stay. And sometimes we wish for them to stay, and sometimes it's best if they don't. So we had some 1-year only positions. We had a teacher that was on a leave of absence that returned, some of that movement. We had an interventionist that retired, that a classroom teacher moved into that position. So the hired internally just is some of our own people that in that school that either reapply for their job or they apply for one of the other positions. So Highgate had 3 positions that they rehired internally. They actually had 3 people transfer from Swanton to Highgate. So we had one teacher that relocated to Swanton last year because of numbers, because we had to cut some staff in Highgate, and if that teacher either had to relocate or leave the district. So he had relocated to Swanton for a year, but then when a position opened in Highgate, relocated back. And then we had local community person, a person who lived locally that wanted to be closer to home. And we had a UA teacher that was looking for a little bit smaller of a requirement. So we hired 4 people outside, and then the unfilled, they would consider their dedicated SLP to be unfilled there. So at MBU, we had 14.5 positions open, hired internally. So we made some switches and swaps with some things there. We actually had an algebra teacher and a math interventionist trained. So where the algebra teacher had resigned, the interventionist applied to go into the classroom. Then the algebra teacher realized he would really rather be an interventionist. So everybody is happy in their new positions now. And then we had 2 people reapply for their 1-year only positions there. Their other 0.5 is the other half of our PE teacher from Franklin. So we had some UA the exploratory the space at MVU that needed to be filled. So it was a good switch. We have a really great hire for to take that position, and is happy to be sharing it between the two schools. And then we were unable to fill our family and consumer science position. So the MVU staff, admin was kind of creative in coming up with some other exploratory options for students, some additional like science things and stuff like that to fill that.
Is there a gentleman who shot like the high school position over the restructure?
The family and consumer science was exploratory. In that, it was high school and middle school. So
So you want all that shit laughing?
we did not. And honestly, like I've talked to the AOB, it is a sunsetting licensure. Very true. Correct. Yeah. We had 19 open positions here in Swanton. We had one hired internally and then 16 hired from outside. So that's pretty good. And then our unfilled are one classroom teacher that due to some late resignations, some creative thinking had to happen, and in looking at class sizes and everything, the four of us were able to put our heads together and shuffle around some teachers and make some first grade classes a little bit bigger, which is something we would have ended up doing in the future anyway. They were a little bit smaller class sizes, and shift some teachers' grade levels around so that we could ensure that we had good quality teachers in all the grade levels. And another slide that tells you where.
Yep.
Oh, and a special ed. So, which was also a late resignation. We would have had that filled as well. Interestingly enough, the person resigned at contract time, decided they would rather stay, reapplied for the job, were rehired, and then resigned again. So some things you just can't predict. So it's been an interesting season.
So I find that transfer to the MVSD interesting. Obviously something that probably that easy before the merger.
Yeah.
But so I know we've had that happen before. I'm just wondering how much that happens, and it sounds like sometimes it's because of changes in positions or
Right.
changing in staff, and sometimes it's because maybe the teacher wants to go to a different school because where they're from was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know how often it happens, but
Not very often, and it's actually significantly easier since the merger because all we change on their contract is their primary work site. Everything else stays the same because they're under one district, one salary schedule, everybody's under one contract. So the only kind of other times I've seen was at our request that someone had to make a transfer because one school had too many teachers. And then this is only the second time I've seen it where that. So they still have to apply. It's not a guarantee that just because you wish to move back, that the principal is going to hire you. It's still the principal's. In this case, it's different. We have a procedure and stuff if we require the transfer. But if it's their request to transfer to a location, they still have to put in a letter of interest with the principal. They still have to interview and everything. It's not a guarantee that people get to choose which school they go to because the administrators are different and they all see different things and hire their people differently.
And it gives you more flexibility, right? In some cases, you may lose a teacher because, how the position's falling, whereas now you may have a position open in another building.
Yes.
And it's still, like, I still consider that retention, right? We're still retaining our people in the district. So, and there's no guarantee that anything is a right fit, right? You're a large company, not every department is the right fit for you. So, but it's important. They're all getting the same training as new hires and the same, right, district-wide. So if we keep them in the district, it's only to the benefit of the district as a whole. Okay, so this is just a highlight of which positions went unfilled this year for professionals. So,
Just real quick.
yeah, so
The other side, I'd like this so one or two for our students.
2 unfilled, 1 classroom that we're,
Previously with the upper report and the hires is multiple, so is there
Those are teaching positions.
some
yeah, as support staff.
guide?
Yeah. We hired, so I went over the,
So, sorry.
so I went over the numbers of which school. So it was 31 professional staff total that we hired. Out of that, we had 14 classroom teachers, so that includes elementary classroom and content-specific classrooms at MVU, so science teachers, math teachers, 2 nurses, 8 unified arts teachers, which was a lot this year. I know, right? Like, that one was kind of funny to me that we had so many unified arts teachers and across all of the schools.
But
And then 7 student services. So this could be reading specialists, psychologists, special educators, our ELL teacher, our coach. So anybody in that student services as well. So some little fun facts about our new professional staff. So none of them are MVU graduates. 6 of them are MVSD community members. 21 out of 31 are Vermont college graduates. So we had 6 relocations from out of state. So we had people come from Florida, Minnesota, New York, Ohio, and Tennessee. And these are all people that were already teachers. So these are not the new college graduates. These are people that relocated from other schools to come here from out of state.
Do any of them have any connection here, or they just being to it?
No, none of them did. They all were,
Their family may have moved for a new job as a family. But they'd be at least one person.
maybe one person. I don't know.
You, for instance.
We had some people who were just relocating, or their kids have graduated and now they wanted to try another place.
Something. There was one there's a family that came from one of these particular spots. They'd always wanted to be in Vermont to experience seasons, and they've been in kind of the Texas, Florida area, and their goal has been to move their family here, and they have a 4th grader and a 7th grader. So, right, that was a big move, and both parents got a job, and they're both really happy.
They want to see snow. I can't say.
Even if that they experienced that, so they're super excited, and we're all happy to watch.
Of our 31 new hires, we have 95 years of total teaching experience. So we've got a lot of experienced teachers coming. So we have 10 that are coming to us from other Vermont schools. So that's 73 years of experience is coming to us from other schools we want. 17 are brand new to education. And we have 6 new hires this year who are looking at education as a second career. So people who have a degree in another content area, worked in that field, and now are branching into education.
Did you say that no graduates?
Not this
Not
year.
of our professionals.
Something I'm making up this work with that. Pulling out top of it.
We have more and more teachers here that are MVU graduates, but not this particular age.
I think it's 2 years ago we had a bunch.
Right.
We had
And our support staff, yeah, I would say it's right here in the MVSD credits.
So, I like to highlight support staff too. Sometimes I feel like we focus a lot on the professional staff, but they make up less than half of our workforce. So I think it's important that we highlight all of our staff here. So for support staff hires, we hired 2 in Highgate, 4 at MVU, and 10 here at Swanton. Of those numbers, we had 3 new facility staff members, 10 full-time support positions and 3 part-time support positions. So here at Swanton, they have lunch playground monitors that just work a couple hours in the middle of the day. So we've hired 3 of those because all 3 of the ones that we hired decided to take on full-time jobs this year. So they all came on as full-time support staff, and so we rehired all of those positions. So for open positions, we have one open/held, so they're not, people are still working with their numbers and not sure if they're going to be hiring them right now, but we have 1 in Franklin, 2 at MU, and we are fully staffed from Heidi, and 2, and I say 2.5 here in Swanton. The half is actually 2 crossing guard positions. It's just a 0.25 FTE. So if you know anybody looking for just desperate to work from 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes in the afternoon, we are looking for 2 crossing guards.
You made that one.
Is them?
Yes.
Works very well for the child. They like to be outside. Just walk around.
For OT support staff we hired, we have 8 MBU graduates, 11 MVSD community members, 6 worked at MVSD in another capacity at some point in time. Of our facilities support, the 3 people that we hired come with a total of 42 years of total experience. So we've got some really good experience coming in there. And 7 total years of experience for student support. So we have some new, a lot of new people coming into student support, but that's okay.
Bonnie, can I just make a quick comment about that? One of the things that I found to be really exciting is that we have some outreach from the folks at NVU that do the work placement coordination, and they often work with students who are interested in going into the field of education. And so they'll come down, they'll work it out with us to spend some time in classrooms and do some observations. And 2 of the folks that we hired this year were folks that had been here as part of that program from NVU. So I think that was a real celebration of how that program helped to support those students in exploring that interest, and then we were able to reap the benefit of that here. So that was a nice connection.
So some of our onboarding, engagement, retention strategies that we use to ensure that we give these people a positive experience and they stay. So for professional staff, so we can't do group onboarding sessions with all employees at once because we have different benefit offerings and different things that happen for our support staff versus our professional staff because of their master agreements and everything. So, and because we hire such a volume of professional staff and all at the same time, we're support staff. I mean, we're still hiring as of people started yesterday, right? So for our professional staff, the HR department does group onboarding sessions. So we pick whichever, we work with facilities and figure out which school has the least impact. So this year it was Highgate, had the least chances of things coming at us from roof projects or middle floors and libraries. So we were in Highgate this year, so we have our new teachers sign up for a group onboarding session, and I do a presentation, and then we do a work session. So Jerry, Jordan, and I are all there, walking around, helping people. They fill out all of their paperwork at once, and it's nice in the group setting because they get a chance to make a friend. So when they come to New Teacher Day, maybe they already know to somebody, they sat with some people, they asked some questions. So it's nice to bring them in, they're all on the same ground, right? Nobody knows how to vote. It's a lot of paperwork that you have to fill out to work in a school district. And so we do those group onboarding sessions. But Jordan also conducts individual onboarding sessions. So anybody who doesn't make a group onboarding session, but also anyone that we hire any other time, Jordan does an individual onboarding session with. So people, they schedule a time with him, they come in, they sit at a little table with him, they fill out all of the paperwork. We give them a little gift. So we had t-shirts, then we had hats, then we have some lunch boxes. So we give them a little gift to walk away with. And they're able to get all that done, ask questions. Sometimes they grab me and they have other questions and things. So we do new teacher orientation day. So I don't know if anybody's reports already had all of the ins and outs of new teacher day in them, but that's a great day. It's actually one of my favorites of the year. We have the district administrators, we all do a little presentation on things. We get ready together. Yeshua and Julie Curtis do a whole MTSS thing. Wendy and Koshin do SEO. Tanya does something else great that I can't remember. And Derek does technology or the HR. So it's a fun day. We do some presentations. We have lunch. They go on a bus tour of our community. Jeff Benet acts as our MC on the bus tour, and then we have a little reception at the end. So it's a fun day, but it's also, we pack them full of information, but in a fun way. So it's a really great day. That's their first day of teacher orientation, and then their second day, they do building based. So we had our facility staff appreciation lunch. So it was our first one of those on August 16th. Dawn joined us for that. That was awesome. Like we, Jerry, Jordan, and I set it all up, and we got the food, we set it up. We didn't let them clean up after us or anything like that. We gave them they were the first ones in the district to get their lunch boxes to ensure that they got something before everybody else for once, because they are our kind of unsung heroes that tend to, never complain, but always be there to help us no matter what we ask of them. So that was really great, and I look forward to doing those more in the future. I think they really appreciated it. And then we had our all-staff keynote and in-service day on August 20th. That is a fun start to the day. I'm not sure if they all think it's a fun rest of the day, but it starts fun. This, a few years ago, apparently historically, it used to be like a big breakfast, and it was very, very costly. Jerry is amazing. For anybody that works with Jerry, she is a force to be reckoned with, and she was like, we can do that for like a fraction of the cost. And she does. So she gets all kinds of pastries and muffins and bakes and juice and coffee and whatever. And so we host a little light breakfast. All of the admin assistants come from schools and they help us out, and it's really great. It's fun. It's festive. Yes, that's a good word for it. Everybody's happy. And this year, usually I have a little information table with a bunch of handouts and things. Nobody really takes them. Our insurance vendors, so for all of our voluntary benefits, they sent me swag stuff, hand sanitizers, and express balls and things like that. So I usually create a little table of that, and I have some handouts that nobody's really excited about. So this year we did away with the handouts, and we did the lunch boxes for all of the staff, and we ticked off who got one, and then sent them up to the schools for anybody that didn't, so we could make sure everyone got one. So that was fun. It was people who liked just getting something, right? So that was very exciting. And then lastly, last year I started doing, the year before I started doing HR updates, but last year I decided to do the monthly, maybe I didn't start it right off the year, but I ended up doing it monthly. This year I wanted to get something out in the first week. It was a lot of information, but a lot of resources for people. I do have it linked here. I was able to, kind of team with everybody and put everybody's resources into one place. So Laura gave me some stuff, I put some tech stuff in and some facility stuff in. So hopefully it's something that our new staff are like, oh wow, great, somebody sends us something every month with things we need to remember. So, so those are just some of our, kind of things that we're incorporating to hopefully retain more staff and make people feel like we're community.
Yeah, that's really your HR was impressed.
I really wanted to go to the facilities lunch, but I do.
I know.
Tennis golf class and had a Sunday.
I bet the rest more fun.
But yeah, so we take it. That makes sense. Well, thank you, Lonnie. That was that last minute request. So I appreciate that. I was just curious, based off the new teacher day. So my question is, it seems like there spends a lot of work, things that everyone takes to keep it out, and as I said, with that culture things. For the new teachers who are coming, specifically for like, is there a difference between new teachers coming from Chittenden and then their duration for staying here in the district versus teachers who come from like Rutland, Stratton, Farmers, or who are like relocated, clear? Have you seen over the years more of a hesitant to let leave if they're coming from certain areas after a number of weeks?
So to be honest, we don't have a lot of teachers that are current teachers or are experienced educators that leave Burlington to come to us, right? So they're coming. So the people that are living in the Burlington area and stuff, they are primarily new teachers or teachers in their first 5 years of teaching. So it all depends, right? If they have roots here, they are more likely to stay here. Right? It's the ones that, like we talked about, that are that are the college students that are living here. I mean, I dare say that we had somewhere between 5 and 10 leave this year that were college students that worked for 2 to 5 years and then moved out of state.
So there's because that's tough, right? Maybe so a lot of here take time to leave. Come in and learn a lot about teaching, and teaching experience matters, right? Especially when you're in England. So, I want to be like our obligation for dealing with that.
I think the solution is getting them a dating app.
That's not far off. One of the things in Squanza.
She's not wrong. Because it works. It really works. If they meet someone, it really works.
One of the things that
Everybody has specialist problem. Solid wine we created.
One of the things that happened, and we kind of encouraged it a little bit, was when they were building those new apartments in St. Albans. We did let people know about that. It attracted a few people to St. Albans, but they reported that it was very lonely. So it cut down on the commute, but it was lonely and away from their friends. So that's just a trickier thing that we hear too, right? Is that Burlington does have Church Street. It does have some of the more social places that people go to, and some of the places are more familiar with from being in college. And so when they relocate to some place like St. Albans, it cuts down on the drive, but then they go home and they're lonely.
It's not just education either.
Right. Yeah.
Talking to the guys at work, because when they're in college, he said, I got something to do every 20 minutes.
Exactly.
He said that I get in the work, and it doesn't matter where you're at. It's like I've got all this time. So it's how you fill that.
Well, accelerated first year. It's accelerated. You was busy. People spread us. People spread us. People coming to work here. Same thing. Either your speech but this speech. Now we get people to come to the area. Then she says it's about.
Does you hear anything that housing has anything to do with it? 'Cause I feel like that would actually help.
I think housing does help us for people who are at the next stage of their life, where they're trying to find a home that's affordable near where they work. So back to Purette's piece. If somebody is working here and they choose to then settle here and have a family here, etc., then housing plays a role. Or if we're trying to attract a teacher, there have been times when we've tried to attract a teacher from Addison County or another area of the state, and finding a place to live has been a challenge. But it's the primary new hire that's right out of college
We're still renting.
Maybe a third of them stay and the other 2/3 go back to their home state or go somewhere else.
I do think that one thing that was a benefit to us this year, and I'm going to be very curious to see if it works against us in another year at the end of the current school year, is that in the spring, when all of the budgeting across the state was happening and there were many failed budgets, we were incredibly fortunate that for our core positions, we were allowed to continue those searches and fill those. And many districts just put a hiring freeze on kind of across the board, and that, I believe, pushed some applicants to us during that point that we might not ordinarily have seen. And I think that worked to our advantage with hiring, and I'll be curious to see at the end of this year, do we pay the price for that on the other side, or do those folks stay?
160. Yep. Is this what you say? All right. So, yes, next month we put together the dating app presentation. Yes, and sure I had questioned it.
Oh, that JR thing.
So, Alicia, no, number 10-1, you know, first of the records.
It feels like it.
I just
Are we, what's the ratio of male to female staff members?
probably more than 10 to 1.
It's pretty good one.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Bonnie. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and it's also nice that I've worked it on like just kind of here on the destination put that together. All right. Next thing, HVAC equipment, first section, Laura.
Yes, so we are finally in the last steps of a very, very long process that started in March of buying 6 HVAC units for MBU as part of a replacement cycle with hot lunch surplus funds, which is considered federal funds. So I'm looking to get our final approval, not the first 2 approvals that we've already gotten. One of the requirements for that is to get a motion from the board to approve the most recent quote and to move forward with the project. So the new quote is actually up about $6,000. It's $170,676. Just a little point of, information. 5 years ago, the same units cost $12,500, and now they're $28,000 plus each. And that's not true across the board in capital projects and construction and equipment, but it's true a lot more than we want it to be. So it's a good thing to just think about as we defer maintenance or push things down the road. Not that we are, I think we're doing a great job, but it always ends up costing us more money. So I'm just looking for a motion to move forward with this project and submit for final approval.
That's very exciting.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll say, I think the discussion is multiple levels.
Multiple, yeah.
Not long issue, but
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So executives first. On the second, any discussion?
So, with the increases that you talked about, where does that put us? I don't remember what we budgeted, but it's
We budgeted 164.5 is what we were approved from the state, but I think they'll allow it. Our surplus is significant, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Again, that's the hot lunch surplus.
Hot lunch surplus, yes.
Which is why we need a specific
All of
motion.
it. You know.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we should buy a lot more.
I think she should defend the truth.
No, this was when we needed to make a budget cut, and they were trying to maximize resources.
This is
some more we did.
You're right.
Oh, year after year.
But these took a long time to get approval to use the hot lunch surplus funds to pay for the HVAC in the kitchen.
Yeah, that was a nice
Yeah.
bonus to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've gotten more flexible. I think as we're pushing them to maximize resources, the state's realizing we need to have flexibility. Good.
All right. All in favor of HVAC purchase? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any? Those are passes 7-0. All right. Let's cut the engagement on shootings. The
as far as coming up, I know I just wanted the opportunity on the agenda for people to talk about, we had the PTO barbecue that I think some folks attended.
Yep.
We had the Franklin open house that was well attended. I don't know of,
Open house is coming up September 26th. If anybody would like to come, we'd love to see you.
Is that just what you know?
That is just the Swanton date. Yep.
26.
26th.
But
Yep. 6 to 7 p.m.
it's gonna get back to
Is that going to have any type of structure, or usually it's a bit chaotic? Like we're just sort of all going from one place to another to another. Is it that expectation again? I just don't want board members to go if there's really not, like unless you're a parent.
Yeah.
Or
It is
already-
not a presentation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
just. Alright, well, it's back to school kids, what's probably why.
I think too, to know, for many families, they've got multiple children, and so to have too much of a structure makes it difficult for them to get to all those locations. So it is kind of like all right, if we're going to go to this class, and then maybe we're going to hop across the playground to go to this building, go to this class, and the thing, jump next door, and you want me to see your band room now, like, so it is a little chaotic, but everybody kind of has their route.
Understood, like, we have, now our oldest is in, year, we started at the year, so now it's like a year, and I, wife's thing, it's good, everything's very cool.
It's a trap.
Okay, alright, we're thinking,
Talk about futures of the state.
we're right there, so,
And you would make a new one about this adventure combination. And we got a young man, we was working workstation. Workstation, that's like a big workstation. They'd like to set up a big future, right?
I'll ask Dan about that. Dan and I have started a rotation, but the very first, we're going to bring Richard Barwin. He's asked to do October, so he has time for his students to prepare, but he would like to bring some students so they can talk about their job experiences that they're having this year. Because we had to delay him so many times last year, so I wanted to make sure he was near the front.
So this was like I do like the national athletics.
Of course, we always do that.
Or the county line, and want to do board teams.
anything else for future agenda items?
Just to, you got brought up Franklin, having a tour of the addition. I'd like to see us next time we're in Swan, next time we're in Highgate, because we have new board members that haven't necessarily toured the school, and I'd like to see the new things that we did over the summer and stuff. So it'd be nice to have some small tours, and got to see the theater and that update, which was awesome. It's really good. So
Well, here is where some of the major, the roof is kind of less exciting to look at. It's
Yeah, we're not-
still average
Especially without the slide.
without the sign.
That was it's right.
But I mean, just look at this library. It's transformative.
yeah.
It's really exciting. The chair, it's just so much more interactive. There's a lovely seating. As you leave later, make sure you see there's a little space in the back for kids to be doing work or looking at picture books. It's a nice seating. It's just more student focused.
It's good.
I know Joanne is very excited.
Just like,
Or discussion about for what we got before I have a brother that's talking, and I just wonder if you everybody should work for questions out
Of course, I can do that.
No, just fine. So, students out there.
when everything that are what else is segment. Okay, good job. All right, next meeting, board meeting is MVSD September 10th at NQ. I have a motion. And actually, real quick, can you just make sure that we just go show and like today that one was in this name wrong with later today. And digital contact information I needed to coordinate. It takes some right. And it's you get the lights you sure.
So we'll.
Second. All right. All in favor? You guys said past the 70 then 2 have